All right, so this lesson is going to focus on page 3 of your notebook. We're going to talk all about variables and then break apart what an algebraic expression is, which we talked about, or we will talk about more on page 4, okay? All right, so up at the top of your page, it says, what is a variable? Now, a variable is a letter that represents an unknown number. So a variable is a letter that represents an unknown number. So in the next section here, we are going to highlight each variable that appears. So basically all you're looking for is the letter in each expression. So when I have x over 9, which means x divided by 9, x is the variable. 8f, which means 8 times f, has f as a variable. M plus 9 means m plus 9, and again, m is the variable. So anywhere you see the letter, that's going to be the variable. K minus 3, k is the variable. 12 minus p, p is the variable. Okay? Again, anywhere you see the letter, that's the variable. Now, the most commonly used variable in algebra is x. Okay? X is going to be seen all over the place. It's just the easiest one to see and to use, really. Now, there are a few that you don't want to use just because they can be confused with other numbers or symbols. So you can use any letter you want, but the ones that I would stay away from are L, because it looks like a 1, or 0, because, or excuse me, O, because it looks like a 0. Those types of letters you don't want to use. I is another one that doesn't typically get used because it can be confused for a 1 if you don't have a good dot in there or anything like that. Also, I represents something else, which we will get into later, so we typically don't use that for a variable. X is the most common. All right, so let's break apart the algebraic expressions here down at the bottom. Okay, so we have the expression x plus 5. So what I want to do is take each part and let you know what it means. So the x here is the variable, and 5 is being added to it. Now, there's a word that represents each part of the expression that's being separated by the addition sign, and that word is term. So the x is a term, and the 5 is a term. And terms are separated by addition and subtraction. So this expression has 2 terms. This one, though, there is no addition or subtraction, so there's only 1 term. So this one has 2 terms. This one has 1 term. Again, terms are separated by addition and subtraction, okay? Now, like I said, x is the variable, and 5 is being added to it. Now that 5 also has a word that represents it, and it's called a constant. It's called a constant because it doesn't change. It's going to be a 5 no matter what. Once it's added to the x, whatever x represents, then it will change, but it's just a constant. Okay? Now in the 33x, things are a little bit different. The x is still a variable, but the 33 in front is not called a constant. A number in front of a variable is called a coefficient. Okay, so a number in front of a variable means coefficient. A number that's being added or subtracted to a variable is called a constant. That's the main difference, okay? So a few vocab words for you here. We learned about variable, we learned about the word constant, coefficient, and term. Okay? All right, so down at the bottom it says an algebraic expression is one or more algebraic terms in a phrase. It can include variables, constants, and operating symbols. And we're going to dive into that a little bit more here, where you learn how to write algebraic expressions from a word phrase. And that's it for this video.